Dear students, good morning. I do strongly believe that you all are in sound health and sound mind. Welcome back to my third online class for the students of Honours Third Year on Preface to Shakespeare written by Dr. Samuel Johnson. To present the class, here I am Khaleda Yasmin Sweetie, lecturer, Department of English, Dhaka Mahanagar Mohila College, Dhaka, with you today. Let me inform you about the learning outcome of today's class. After the end of this class, we will know about the demerits of Shakespeare's writing and Johnson's comment on three unities. In our previous class, we discussed the merits of Shakespeare. Today, we'll start our class with the demerits of Shakespeare. So, my girls, let's start. To discuss the demerits of Shakespeare, we'll get several points and we'll talk about these one by one. Number one, virtue sacrificed to convenience. His first defect, that is Shakespeare's first defect, according to Johnson, is that he sacrifices virtue to convenience. He carries his characters indifferently through right or wrong and at the end dismisses them without further attention, leaving their examples to operate by chance. This fault is serious because of the fact that it is always a writer's duty to make the world morally better. 2. Carelessness about plot development. Shakespeare's plots are often very loosely formed and carelessly developed. He neglects opportunities of giving instructions or pleasure which the development of the plot provides to him. In many of his plays, the latter part doesn't receive much of his attention. Number 3. Violation of chronology. Third fault in Shakespeare's play, in his violation of chronology, Shakespeare shows no regard to distinction of time or place. Thus we find Hector's quoting Aristotle in Troilus and Cressida, and the love of Theseus and Hippolyta combined with the Gothic mythology of fairies in A Midsummer Night's Dream. Firstness of comic dialogues. Fourthly, Shakespeare's play also have fault of dialogue and diction. His comic senses are seldom very useful when representing witty exchanges between characters. 5. Excessive labor produces undesired effects in the tragic plays. His tragic plays become worse in proportion to the labor he spends on them. Whenever he strains himself to produce effect, the result is tediousness and obscurity. Vivacity and prolixity of words. Shakespeare's narration shows an undue pomp of diction and unnecessary repetition. He uses more words than are necessary to describe an incident. 7. Flamboyant speeches and inflated vocabulary. The set speeches in some of his plays are disprinting, cold, and feeble. Sometimes the language is intricate even when the thought is not stable, or the line is bulky, though the image is not great. Sometimes trivial sentiment and vulgar ideas are expressed through high sounding and inflated vocabulary. Number 8. Losing intensity to feebleness. What he does best, he soon ceases to do. Shakespeare cuts short his own highest excellence in arousing tragic feelings by the spectacle of the fall of a great man or misfortune of an innocent character or a disappointment in love, the result is that the intense feelings aroused by him suddenly lose their intensity and become feeble. And the last one is weakness for quibble and craze for puns. Lastly, Shakespeare could never resist a quibble, that is, a play on words or pun. Whatever be the occasion of the dialogue, whether the situation is amusing or tense, Shakespeare seizes the opportunities of employing a pun. Now, we'll talk about violation of unities. Shakespeare has been charged for his neglect of unities of time and place. But Johnson defends him in this matter. According to him, this neglect is not really a fault. To him, with his other works, Shakespeare sustains the unity of action even when the events are out of order or superfluous. Shakespeare does stick to Aristotle's linear progression of having a descendable beginning, middle, and end, that is, unity of action. In terms of unity of time and place, the law of unities states that for a play to be credible, that is believable, the events of the play should be limited to a particular place and the time limited to 24 hours. Otherwise, the audience will be troubles suspending disbelief, which is to say, the audience will have trouble forgetting that they are watching a play. Johnson counters this by saying that all plays are plays. The truth is that the spectator are always in their sense and know from the first act to the last that the stage is only a stage and that the players are only players. Therefore, these limitations based on being credible to the audience cannot be applied. Johnson also adds that the pleasure of watching theatre in that it is fictional, it is not necessary that they have to believe it could happen. The delight of tragedy proceeds from our consciousness of fiction. If we thought, thought murders and treasons real, they would please no more. Johnson adds that the unities of time and place are not essential to a just drama to him, and that simply sticking to the rules does not make a drama good. That which makes Shakespeare's play just is how deeply they apply to human nature. This is perhaps the most significant phrases in this essay. For Johnson, there is something true and universal about Shakespeare's appreciation of human nature, and this is what makes him timeless. Johnson notes that this, therefore, is the praise of Shakespeare that his drama is the mirror of life. So, to conclude our discussion, we can say, however, Johnson adopts purely a new classical point of view which emphasizes the didactic purpose of literature, that is, its pleasing quality. In this respect, we cannot agree with Johnson's contemplations of Shakespeare. It is because all that we can expect from an artist is that he should give us a picture of life as he sees it. It is Shakespeare's ability to copy nature, art imitating life, being believable or unbelievable, that makes any of Shakespeare's so called false irrelevant. So my girls, here I have given you some important board question from Percy for your final exam. Number 1, discuss Johnson's view on Shakespeare's valuation of three unities. 2, why does Johnson admire Shakespeare as a poet of nature? And 3, how does Dr. Johnson defend Shakespeare's mixing a tragic and comic elements? That's all for today. Hope you have understood, and in our next class we will meet again with a new book, that is An Apology for Poetry, written by Dr. Sir Philip Sidney. Till then, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.